Hello boys and girls, it's me again. I hope you're doing well. Today is the 16th of November 2016 and I'm stuck on the M25 as you do. For anyone that's watching this outside of the UK, the M25 is the motorway that literally goes around London. That's what I'm doing. So, things have changed. And they've changed for the better, it seems, for us in the UK. It seems that not only is our economy doing really well, we just had another report out to say that we've had high employment again in the UK. Our retail sales are doing well, our exports are doing well. Our country's doing really good. And we're leaving the EU. But you remember all those chants about, you know, World War III, the economy is going to crash, mass unemployment, all that sort of stuff. Well, it's over 4 months now and it still hasn't happened. But all the lovely stuff, it's like the cream is starting to come through to the UK. And the whole President-elect Trump has literally put the topping on top of the cream, the chocolate sprinkles. Because not only is President-elect Trump putting us at the top of the queue in reference to trade deals, he's not at the moment really talking to the EU. The EU, of course, their artists are starting to clinch a little bit, and they had a meeting not long ago that they asked Boris Johnson to go to, and Boris Johnson said, stop being foolish. He's just the new president of the United States. He's not anything evil. And I don't need to go, which I thought was perfect. Because we are leaving the EU, whether they like it or not. So the EU are starting to rip themselves apart now. And I'll give you an example of it. Merkel, who really is one of the top echelons of the EU, Chancellor of Germany, had put a report out saying that maybe we can come to some sort of arrangement with the UK in reference to free movement of people. And then there was a German MEP from the EU Parliament that said, actually, no, we can't do that. No, can't do that. No. If they don't take the four, whatever, what do they call them? The four values of the EU, then they can't have anything. We're not going to make life easy for them. No, definitely not. So the likes of the EU always say one thing and then say another. But that's typical, whether you're talking about Jeremy Corbyn's party, the Labour Party, Tim Farron, or whether you're talking about the EU. They're all the same sorts of shit. They're just, yeah. So at this present moment, people like myself, 17.4 million, have done a really fantastic job in reference to voting outside of the EU, and none of the gloom and doom that they promised in reference to the Remain camp has actually happened. But yet they still want to draw us in. They still want us to go back into the EU. So I guess the question you need to ask yourself, or your rest of your Remainers, that let's just say, for instance, we were outside of the EU and our economy is doing, like it is right now, is doing really well. And you know for a fact that the EU's economy is doing really bad in reference to single currency, unemployment, all that sort of stuff. And then there was another EU referendum, or there was one EU referendum to actually go into that union. If the government, your parties, were saying, well, the EU is really struggling, we're not, that may affect us if we join them. The question you need to ask yourself is that whether you would vote in or you would vote out. Because that's where we are at this present moment. Our economy, our employment, our exports, our retail sales are all up. We're doing really well compared to the majority of the EU states. In fact, compared to a lot of the world itself at the present moment. And also Theresa May is going out there and doing trade deals with India, which was worth £1 billion, and I'm sure she'll be doing even more of those come nearer the time of hitting Article 50. Now, in reference to Theresa May going into the Supreme Court to fight her case, I can't see the Supreme Court going against the government. But even if they did go against it, and she does have to go to Parliament to get the authorisation to activate Article 50, I think that the MPs, well, the majority of the MPs, would know it would be suicidal to go against the will of the people. Because any of those MPs that decide to vote against us, when it comes to 2020, they're not going to be there anymore. Because who's going to vote for them? The Remain camp, maybe. But 17.4 million people would not vote for them at all. No matter what party they're from, they won't vote for them. So by voting against the people, they're going to be voting against their own careers. So I can't see that happening. Article 50 will be activated by end of March. I can't see why that would change. We would leave the EU. We've got a 2-year period to discuss everything with the EU, which will probably go on for a bit longer, to be honest, the way they do trade deals. Because even their CETA, I think it's CETA deal with Canada at the moment is in the shit, because a Belgium region have decided not to sign it. But that's the EU for you. The EU is just shit. Absolute fucking shit. And that's why people like me and the 17.4 million decided to leave it. I've got a smile on my face because history is changing. The revolution started. And this is literally the start of our new world order. Bye-bye liberal lefties. Bye-bye EU. Welcome to freedom and mass trading. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.